I know you probably don't give it away, but I know you probably recognized that voice when you heard it come on there on Bumper Music Trivia Wednesday. Everybody knows that voice.
Oh yeah,
one of the most recognizable in rock and roll, and we're cruising today. All right, let's get to it. We've been having you on every Wednesday, and the first thing I like to ask you each week is with what we're dealing with no staff on campus, no recruiting visits, whether official or unofficial, and Alabama sitting here with just one commitment for the class of 2021. How's it going? What's happening? Any updates of interest right off the top here that the Bama fans will want to know about?
Yeah, I think people look at it and think that nothing's really going on. Well, there's still plenty of recruiting that's going on. There's no doubt about it. Even though visits aren't happening, coaches are still in constant contact with its top targets. Just like they would be if things were normal. The only difference is kids aren't able to visit campuses right now. So Coach Saban, doing a lot of FaceTime calls. I think the biggest thing, really in the last week that has kind of changed is recruits are starting to do FaceTimes with the new strength coaches. I think that's probably the biggest thing is, and this was going to be a big time period where kids were going to have an opportunity to visit campus, go to spring practice, go to spring games, and meet the new strength staff at Alabama, and they're obviously not able to do that right now, and so Alabama's decided to get some FaceTime with its top targets with the strength coaches. I know the Brockermeyers, two twins out of Texas, the offensive linemen Tommy and James Brockermeyer, both spoke with Coach David Ballou the other day. I know Dr. Ray is going to be speaking with a lot of the speed guys, wide receivers, defensive backs, running backs. He's going to be kind of talking to those guys over the course of the next couple of weeks. So that's something that has changed with Alabama in terms of their recruiting approach, just getting some FaceTime with a lot of the top targets for the new strength guys. But Nick Saban, he's continuing to reach out to top targets. The coaching, the entire coaching staff, every assistant coach, maintaining relationships with top guys, and that's pretty much all that really that they can do right now. It's just staying in constant contact, letting these guys know how much they're wanted and needed in Tuscaloosa. But obviously, a lot of the guys that they are recruiting were wanting to take visits, are still going to take visits until they make their decision. So, not a lot of kids that we've seen that are, I would say priority top tier targets for Alabama that have made decisions just yet. We saw one a few weeks ago. Jordan Hancock, defensive back out of Georgia, committed to Clemson over Alabama. That was probably Alabama's, I would say biggest loss on the recruiting trail, other than the two decommitments. But still a lot of guys that are still out there that are still waiting to take their visits during. I guess not during the spring anymore. Hopefully during the summer they can resume visits and travel places and maybe make some decisions. But I definitely think that Alabama's hoping to get maybe some commitments on board. And, I would certainly look to, maybe some in-state guys who have taken visits, who have already taken a bunch of visits, and, as opposed to the out-of-state guys who may still want to take some visits during the summer before they decide.
Excellent, Bone. And let's talk about a couple of your stories on BamaInsider.com. We'll get to 3 key offensive targets for the Alabama Crimson Tide in just a moment. But since you mentioned in-state, you've got a piece that you wrote yesterday in regards to priority in-state targets for the Tide. We've talked about a lot of these guys, obviously, on the show. But without giving away everything in your piece, because we want people to go to Bama Insider and read it, who are some of these guys that you're referencing in your story?
Yeah, I think, in terms of priority targets, when you're talking priority targets, you're looking at guys who, can call the coaching staff today and say, hey, Coach, I'm ready to commit. And they say, absolutely, you have the green light. You definitely can commit. So, there's probably maybe about 8 of those guys in the state of Alabama right now. So they're heavily recruiting. Now, there's some other guys that, may have received offers, but, still – need another evaluation piece, whether that's Alabama was hoping to see a lot of these guys this spring. Now it may be the summer, let these guys come in during the summer. Or maybe even during the season. But in terms of, the guys who they can call up right now and commit, you're looking at guys like DeQuincy McKinstry, the number one player in the state of Alabama, from Pinson Valley High School, the number one player in the state, defensive back, wide receiver, point guard, plays all over. I mean, and, he's being recruited in both football and basketball, has offers in both sports. He's certainly a major target for Alabama who, could decide any time. I mean, he hasn't really said when he's going to make a decision, but he has been recruited for the last couple of years. He's taken, just countless visits. I think that would be a humongous boost for Alabama if they could go ahead and get him on board, maybe sometime this spring, leading into the summer. Dylan Brooks, outside linebacker, edge rusher out of Hanley High School in Roanoke, same high school as former Alabama offensive lineman Bradley Bozeman. Plays at a small school, but he's a big-time target for many programs, including Alabama. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds, just a big, physical kid. He's got a lot of speed. He's certainly a big-time target for them. A couple of other guys that they're very high on who are teammates, Tim Keenan, defensive tackle, and Jeremiah Williams, outside linebacker from Ramsey High School here in Birmingham. Two major recruits for them. Got a ton of offers. Tim Keenan's been recruited, almost since his freshman year. I mean, he's had a lot of offers. Got a lot of offers early on in his high school career. Remains a key target for the Crimson Tide. And then Jeremiah Williams, kind of blown up over the course of the last few months after his junior season. Big kid, 6'4", about 230 pounds. Received an offer from Alabama back in February, and has really shot up Alabama's recruiting board since then. So those are four guys, probably out of 8 that are heavily recruited by Alabama that they really want. That we could potentially see making early decisions.
And you've also got a story out on 3 key offensive targets for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Kind of give us a little insight in what you wrote about there.
Yeah, so what we're really going to try to break down, really who are the main targets for Alabama at this point. And we're looking at, key offensive players, key defensive players, and we'll put out, a few guys, just about every other day. And the first guys that we went with were 3 guys that we interviewed last week. And we kind of went with those guys just because, they were pretty fresh on our minds, and, just recently talked to them. And, like I said, we'll continue to move forward and put out more guys. But 3 guys we talked about yesterday were the teammates, the brothers, the twins, the Brockermeyers, James and Tommy Brockermeyer, out of Texas. And we also talked about Hudson Wolf, the number 1 tight end in the country out of Savannah, Tennessee. Now, the Brockermeyers, had an opportunity to spend some time with, speak to those guys, not spend some time with them, but spoke to them last week, them along with their father. Father played at Texas, was an All-American, and really had a great conversation with those guys. And, they were the first, like I said earlier, they were the first ones to really get a chance to spend some time with Coach Ballou and, get some face time with him. They were really impressed with everything that they heard from him. I think they're just excited about getting back to Tuscaloosa whenever that may be. They were supposed to visit Alabama this weekend. James was going to be taking his official visit to Alabama this weekend. Tommy was going to come along, and then they were going to take Tommy was going to take his official visit, I think in June, and James was going to come along. So they were both going to be taking 2 official visits to Alabama. Not sure if that's still going to be the case with, they can still do that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be, really in the cards anymore with this whole, dead period. And, you just don't know how long this is going to last. But just talking to them, it seems like Alabama's in the driver's seat at this time. Now, they're both Texas legacies. Mom and Dad both went there. They've got a brother who's on the football team. I think he's going to be a junior this year at Texas. And, everyone wants to say, well, if that's the case, then they're going to Texas. But I just don't. I don't see it. I think that Alabama's in great shape with them right now. I would say that they're the leader, but you just never know how things are going to go over the course of the next few months. With the coronavirus, will they be able to get back to Tuscaloosa?
Mm-hmm.
That's really their hope. So we'll see. But I would say that it's Alabama, Texas. Then probably LSU. Those are probably the top three schools for those guys right now. And then, Hudson Wolf, definitely a major target for Alabama. Looking to add an elite tight end in this class after striking out on a couple guys last year. This year's a big year for tight end for Alabama. And, Hudson Wolf's been to Tuscaloosa probably, I think, 7 times, throughout his high school career. Was at 3 games last football season, was at junior day back in February. There's a lot of talk that it might be an Alabama-Ohio State battle. Now, it was kind of looking like an Alabama-Tennessee battle for a very long time, and now it's kind of shifted towards Alabama-Ohio State. Ohio State has a tremendous recruiting class. They're currently rated as the number 1 class in the country. It's like every day. I'm not sure how Ohio State's doing it, but like every day they're picking up a new commitment, new big-time commitment, and he's certainly a big target for them. But Alabama's done a tremendous job recruiting him. He's got a great relationship with the coaching staff. Kyle Flood's been his area recruiter, and he's been talking to the staff a lot during this whole pandemic. So, we'll see what happens. As of right now, he's got an official visit scheduled to Alabama on June the 20th and one to Ohio State on June the 12th. So if he is able to take those visits, we could potentially see a decision maybe coming after those trips. So just kind of waiting to see what happens there. But like I said, I think the top 2 right now for him is Alabama and Ohio State.
Great insight so far, Bone. You mentioned Ohio State rocking and rolling, and other schools are. I seem to mention this every time I talk to you, but I mean, Alabama's sitting here with just 1 commitment. Now, everybody's in the same boat. I get it with this coronavirus pandemic and how it's impacting recruiting. But and I know Nick Saban is a guy that if there's anything that you mentioned, video conferencing with the strength coaches, if anything that he can do to get an edge, he'll figure out what it is. But I know Bama Nation I know the fan base is just on pins and needles over just having 1 commitment only. And I know the coaches approach this thing differently, but do you think there's any, uncertainty or any angst amongst the Alabama coaching staff to still be sitting here with just 1 commitment in April for the class of 2021?
I think there is. I think it's foolish to think there isn't. I think you look at all these other classes around the country, and they're sitting pretty good with multiple commitments. Everybody's kind of on hold right now, but there's other schools that are on hold with 15 commitments, 10 commitments, 13 commitments. You look at even programs like Maryland and Rutgers with both those programs have 10 commitments. So everybody's probably feeling a little bit better, even though they can't get kids on campus. But Alabama, just sitting at 1 commitment. I mean, they're one of the probably few programs in the entire country with just 1 commitment. And like I said though earlier, the good thing about that is the majority, 90%, 99% of their top targets haven't made decisions yet. So they can still get those guys on campus. But the biggest thing is a lot of those guys are out of state, so it's all about getting those guys back on campus. But if they can get some in-state guys on board, which I think they hope they can get some of those guys on board before the summer starts. I think there's a lot of, probably wondering, why are these guys waiting? But I think we'll probably see a few commitments before the summer, at least from in-state guys, and then going into the summer, maybe get some more out-of-state guys on board. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people say it's Alabama. There's nothing to worry about. Everybody's in the same boat. Well, everybody's not in the same boat because a lot of these programs do have several commitments already, whereas Alabama just has 1. They really need to get some momentum going, before the summer starts. With only having 1 commitment right now, they certainly wish they had more commitments. There's no doubt about that.
Well, we're certainly dealing with a lot of things in our country, and we've never seen a recruiting cycle like this one. That's just unprecedented. But Bone, I know
No,
this.
absolutely not.
Yeah, you'll continue to crank out the information. A lot of people are at home battling the boredom. But as I said, I just mentioned a couple of them. You continue to have a ton of updates at BamaInsider.com.
Yes, absolutely, and we'll continue to do so. We got a great team over there that continues to pump out content, and we're having to do some new things over there. You have some stuff that we're not used to in terms of coming up with content. Well, we're still cranking it out, and if you sign up now, you can get a 30-day free trial and check us out.
Appreciate it, Bone.
Thanks, Gary. Have a good one.